Hi everyone, delonewolf here, back with some more EVE Online, and as you can see I'm in my Mackinac, off to a mining belt, and that means that it's time to cover a few more dev blogs. It's been a while since I've done that, and there have been a few that I find pretty interesting, so we'll just have a look at what's going on in EVE Online. Before I go to the dev blogs from the Twitter, the EVE Online Twitter, which might be pretty interesting for anyone that's curious about future development in EVE Online. It looks like this weekend at PAX East we'll get our first bits of information on the new expansion for this summer, so keep an eye out for that. I'm sure I will. And here we go, we're landing right in the belt. Some nice big Veldspar asteroids to mine, so that's always nice. Let's launch my mining drones, find something close for them to chew on, like that. And is there any dense Veldspar? There's one of decent sized and a concentrated Veldspar of similar size, so we can get started. So let's go and have a look at the EVE Online website through the browser. Here we go on the EVE Gate. We've got the dev blogs. Now there's two previous ones, actually three of them even. That might be pretty interesting. The first one is all quiet on the EVE launcher. I won't go into detail about that, but it just details some further plans for the EVE Online launcher, which has been acting up in the last few patches for me personally. So it's nice if they can keep that up to date. And an interesting part of that dev blog that I found is that they're going to work on delivering updates through Steam as well. So that would be very nice if it were incorporated. You could just download a client from Steam and have that update automatically like all your other Steam games. Yeah, it's work in progress of course, but pretty interesting for people that like their patching to go without problems. Next up, CSM 8 candidacy applications are now open, so yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind. If you're interested in making your stamp on the development of EVE Online, you might want to consider checking out all the applicants for the CSM 8 and then casting a vote when it's finally time to do that. Me personally, I'm not so much into politics. I definitely like the idea of a democratic vote like that, but I definitely also feel that the EVE Online community is wise enough to elect the right members in the CSM, and that my individual vote or thoughts on that are not that important. So I'm just quickly gonna go over that, and yeah, if you feel differently though, if you feel you have to participate in that, feel free to do so, of course. The more active people we have in the community, the better. But concerning the development, I do think that at the moment there's not really any need for me to try and steer it in any specific way, or try and mark my own stamp on that. Then some sad news. The end of the Eon magazine. So we'll have the next one, I think, was released in January, so I guess no longer profitable. That's unfortunate, but yeah, times are changing, and yeah, it's just a part of life, a part of the cycle of business. So the Eon magazine is going to stop making new issues. And then finally we come to some dev blogs that interest me more. Right here, updates from Team Security, the war on bots in 2012. So we get a nice chart here of what's been going on, and the rules were: at the first strike for botting, 14-day ban, second strike 30-day ban, third strike permanent ban, and immediate permanent bans for client modifications and RMT involvement. So here are some of the numbers that are only concerning the botting, so not the RMT and the client modifications, I think. The blue line is for the 14-day ban. The red line is for the 30-day bans, and then the green one is for the permanent bans, with a nice big spike right there, which is January, I think. Let's see if I can get a bigger chart here. Yep, January 2012, almost 100 accounts banned in that month. That's actually quite a lot. And can I close tab? There we go. Damn, now I lost the dev block. Okay, it's the top one. So that's quite a lot, but in the later part of the year, as you can see, there have not been that many permanent bans anymore, which is of course good news if that means less bots. But it also means that CCP is going to be moving on to a 2-strike policy. First strike, you get a 30-day ban. Second strike, permanent ban, and then still of course permanent bans for client modifications and RMT. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's going to have any real impact. But personally, I'm all for this. If it looks at the moment like most people learn after 2 bans, it's okay, I think, for CCP to decide to become a bit more strict and deal out a 30-day ban straight away, which does seem to be something that makes people think twice. And after that, on the second strike, you get a permanent ban. Yeah, it does make sense to me. It might just mean that they also have a bit less of checking to do before they can go right after dealing with all these bots. So it could help with the workload as well. And then there are some organizational changes, as CCP Screed is leaving CCP. I've heard, I think it's on Reddit, that he's going to join Sony. So yeah, the team security is going to consist of some different devs. But alright, that's basically the update on the bot banning, with some nice numbers. The first ban goes up to the first strike chart goes up to a high of around 230, something like that, in a single month, which is not nothing, but considering we have 500,000 active accounts, I think these numbers are not too drastic either. I think a lot of people would have expected this chart to be quite a lot higher. Anyways, that was it for the EVE Online part, but let's move on to what I think is actually the most interesting dev block of them all, and it's actually in Dust 514. Now, before I get started, let me quickly check the state of these asteroids, and that's not too much anymore. So let's take two. This is one big one that will do in just a few seconds. Yeah, like I said, dev blocks Dust 514, which is about planetary conquest, building an empire from the ground up. So that's actually pretty damn exciting news. We get just more news on how the Dust 514 planetary conquest system is going to work in EVE Online. No ETA on when this is going to be launched. Dust 514 is in open beta at the moment, but it's got some very interesting information in my opinion. Let's see. First of all, we all know that there are already districts on the temperate planets at the moment, and these will become conquerable, if I read it correctly, in lowsec. And I should get close now, so let's just get on the big asteroid here, and so I can cover the rest of the blog. And they're also going to change the map to make it a bit more useful. EVE Online's map is probably not that easy to navigate on a console. Each temperate planet, like I said, has between 5 and 24 districts, and these will serve as both the industrial backbone for the corporation and the battlefields where they destroy anyone who interferes with their business. An interesting tidbit for the live event, guys: the Genolution Corporation, which will be responsible for clone sales in select low security regions beyond faction warfare space. So that's where I got the idea that at first it's going to be low sec only. This is, I think, a Jovian corporation actually that will be supplying these drones. Not 100% sure on that, but that might be interesting for the live event developments. Not going to go over the entire dev block in detail, but as far as I understand the system, Dust corporations or EVE Online corporations with Dust mercs will be able to actually own districts on these low sec planets. They'll be able to upgrade that either with a cargo hub, a production facility, or a research lab, which will provide them with bonuses to their clone storage or production. And these clones will basically become the traded commodity at first in the dust market. Now how that's gonna work then is that let's say they have a district on this planet and they have 1,000 clones there. If someone else decides to attack them, there's going to be a timer, just like in 0-0 Conquest. So the battle will be known beforehand, and after that the attackers are going to have to try and deplete all those 1,000 drones from the defenders in order to capture the district. At the same time, from that district, if they are not under attack, and let's say that they have 1,000 clones, they could move 500 of those clones to a nearby district or planet. There are some restrictions on how much and how quickly you can move those drones in order to start an attack on that district or on that new planet if it's conquered by someone else. Once again, that will ignite a timer, and then everybody will know when this fight will take place. And yeah, basically the clones, the production of clones and the amount of clones which will become the lives that you'll have available on the Dust 514 battlefield will become the determining asset, whether or not you can hold or you can conquer a certain district and eventually a planet. And the orbital bombardment for corp members will be implemented so that a defending corporation can ask for orbital bombardments from their corp members in order to help them defend a district. So it doesn't look at the moment like they're going to go for an all-out free-for-all orbital bombardment just yet, but they're going to give it a try with defensive bombardments if they can hold the space above that planet, of course, which I think is very interesting. I don't think there's actually a lot of shooters with a mechanic like that that make planets and districts conquerable, upgradable in order to produce your own lives, and then the conflicts can start once people start to have some districts and want to fight over each other's districts. I think that's very exciting. Like I said, no ETA yet, but I liked this dev blog a lot. I like the idea of your corporation EVE Online members being able to help you with orbital bombardments, giving you a defensive advantage. And I'm somewhat curious to see if this will be possible on a small scale as well. Let's just imagine that we can get 10 real life friends playing Dust 514, give them just one district in order for them to produce their own clones, have us be nearby in a safe place with some ships to help them in case they get attacked, and see if they can then grow their own assets and their own power in the Dust 514 universe as a small independent corp. That was my first thought. At the same time, you can of course imagine that this can escalate to very large corporation and alliance warfare as well, with a lot of spies and diplomatic stuff on clones. And if at a later date moving the clones from planet to planet would require EVE Online involvement and they could be destroyed, yeah, that would make it so real. But overall, in my opinion, extremely exciting developments for Dust 514. Very unique, and what the hell is that pirate doing there? Very unique in the shooter type of games, and yeah, I think that is very positive for Dust 514, and that features like this can definitely give it a lot more staying power than most other shooters. Anyways, let's take care of these pirates here in a second, but that's it for the dev blogs of actually the last few weeks already, and I'll see you all next time.